Crossing the United States to his native South Africa, Nolan continues to push barriers and inspire people to inspire themselves. And you could be next. Join Nolan's 7-day online groundbreaking program called Obstacles Make Me Stronger, aimed at teaching you how to overcome any obstacles you may face, break barriers, be innovative, and take control of your life. For more information, check out Obstacles Make Me Stronger, now on Udemy.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you are in the world, and welcome to Inspirational Journeys Through Life with Straight Talk with Nolan. Today, it's our pleasure and honor to welcome Barbie Layton, my soul sister, to our show. Now, a bit about Barbie. She's an international Best You speaker, going from side to the main stage in just 6 months, based on fan feedback and 25 years of speaking engagements to a New York Times Square Billboard. That's an absolutely amazing achievement. She also has a global TV channel on the Best You TV called You Are Amazing. And of course, every single one of you are amazing, where she interviews world thought leaders who are changing the world for the positive. I'm honored to be part of the show as well. Barbie has also been featured in the Cannes Film Festival winning documentary, The Prison Project, as a counselor to women serving life sentences in Chowchilla, California, based on Viktor Frankl's work in 2007. Barbie has also appeared on Fox News, ABC, MarketWatch, Forbes, Nasdaq, CBS, USA Today, NBC, Mindvalley and Lit magazine as well. And you can see we do have an extraordinary guest today. She earned an M.A in Spiritual Psychology from the world-famous University of Santa Monica and is a 2021 graduate of Vishen Lakhiani's Premier Coaching. Once again, Barbie, welcome to our show. I'm most certainly looking forward to learning more from you as well. Would you mind just sharing for about 2 minutes with our audience a bit more about you?
Yes, it's so good to be with you, Nolan. So yes, Nolan's my soul brother as well. We literally were on the Mindvalley journey together since 2020, and there were a lot of places where they had abilities for us to be able to share what our journey was too. So it's like we were kind of watching each other's journeys as we were going along, which has been amazing. And you've just accomplished so much. And yes, if you have the chance to see Nolan's show on my channel, it is just that whole harrowing journey that he went with COVID and the whole entire journey. That was just so incredible. And the fact that he's so resilient and able to be here now is phenomenal. So for me, this last year has been a quantum leap in a way of where it's like the Burt Goldman, Silva Ultramind, like extraordinaire of where, on June 8th, I became an international best-selling author with the Women Gone Wild series, the Wealth Edition, and we were on 4 New York Times billboards, actually, which was cool for an entire month. And then from there, I've been on probably 15 or 16 different magazines, and then also cover. I have another cover that I've been offered as well. Our book is going to be featured in Success Magazine this month with Gloria Steinem on the cover as the #1 women's empowerment book to be able to read in 2023. In April, I was named USA Today's top 10 conscious leaders to watch in 2022, and all of this stuff just kind of rocket shipped all off into these like incredible spaces. And now I have the privilege to be able to say that I'm also a plus size model. I've done 4 different fashion shoots this last particular year. I'll be in Ageless magazine with Ann Landstrom, who is basically Lisa Nichols and Forbes Riley and some other like celebrity branding photographers. Her work is second to none. And then from there, it's like I won a humanitarian award about a month ago as well for the work that I've done for service around the planet. And then I'm also a quantum healer and an executive coach, and I've worked with elite athletes, former NFL, a lot of different people in regards to being able to help them to maximize their peak performance in that sense too, and be able to manifest miracles that being a quantum healer, in addition to an executive coach, the results that I get are just literally some of my testimonials I can't even believe myself. And I will actually be in 3 documentaries this year. Dr. John Demartini, I filmed with him in May for his documentary coming out as well. So it might even be a fourth one, and talking to just like some epic producers and directors about things that my work has really been taking off in a way of like being seen and acknowledged around the world. And so I feel so grateful for that. And, I'm at this point in time in the new year, I now have capacity again for more one-on-one clients too. So that's something that I'm definitely looking forward to be able to help them to, 10x whatever it is that they're wanting to manifest in their lives too. So all of this started with this Mindvalley journey that Nolan and I were on together. And then I know, Nolan, I introduced you to the top talent people as well. And then you got interviewed by Dr. 𝒂𝒶𝓇𝒹 𝒂𝐸, which is amazing. And then being a part of the Los Angeles Tribune Mastermind, I'll be on all of their platforms this year as well. And we were actually personally coached by Dennis Waitley, which was just absolutely just a privilege and an honor just to be, he's just such a sage and a mystic as well. So I'm very blessed to see that all of the things that, you and I both saw that Vishen literally talked about a 3-year plan. Yeah. And the 3-year plan, like literally from that thing. And so when you look at it, it's 2020, 2021, and 2022, and here we are. That is in a sense of where that just shows the brilliance of Vishen and being able to put that kind of thing out there. And so now it's like, I want to be able to enjoy the fruits of my labor. I know that this wasn't something, you and I have both been very, very driven and very, very focused on everything that we're doing. But this year I want to do a little bit more relaxing. I have speaking engagements and other like events that I'm already booked into already up until August. So it's just phenomenal to know that the trajectory of all these different things means that, the more that it's like they say, those 5 people that you surround yourself have to be really, really intentional, because you have mirror neurons in the sense of where you start speaking like each other and talking like each other. So if you want to be a millionaire, you need to basically hang out with millionaires. If you want to be successful, you need to hang out with other successful people. And from that, you just become very, very intentional as to the things you're calling forward and the people that you surround yourself with.
Wow. I love that. And you're so right. It's the people that you surround yourself with, because you can't hang around with people that has no drive or don't want to go anywhere in life as well. So Barbie, I know you for 3 years now as well, right? On this Mindvalley journey, and I've seen how you've just leaped and leaped and leaped and still leaping even further as well. Is there any secret behind how you managed to bend reality and get to this point where you're quantum leaping at this pace where it's just so fast, eh? And I'm sure you at times would wonder, how did I grow so quickly and so fast, and things are just manifesting and turning around for me? Is there any secret to it that we can share with the audience?
There is, but I don't know if everyone's going to like it.
Tell them.
The thing about it, it's surrender. Yeah. My life prior to the pandemic wasn't working for me. I had a chronic illness. That's what I wrote about in my chapter in the Women Gone Wild book. And I just literally had a come to Jesus moment of where I just said, my life isn't working for me. I need a different version of my life, or else just please just take me off of this planet. I don't want to be here anymore. It was really that dark, as they call it, the dark night of the soul. Mm. And what I realized was the fact that I needed to surrender to the will of whatever you want to call it, God, source, universe, whatever you want to call it. I needed to surrender to the will of what was being wanted and wished and desired for me, as opposed to the way that I thought it was going to. So if my life wasn't working in the way that I wanted it to, I had to let my small self basically take a back seat. And a lot of times we have this inner critic that's always inside of our head, that's always constantly telling us this chatter and that kind of stuff too. And I literally got to a point of where I quieted it. And there was times of where it would be really loud and it would say some really negative things to me. And I would just say, you need to go sit in the corner for 5 minutes and leave me alone. Just jarring on that sense. And I know that voice almost like pause for a second. It was like, oh, getting that inner critic to be quiet when it's like, I know I'm not the most beautiful person in the world. I know I don't have the most perfect body in the world. I know that I'm in middle age. I know that there's all these things that is actually technically my reality. But by the same token, it doesn't matter. It's looking at it from the perspective of, by surrendering to whatever the will of the universe is for me, it was almost like the universe wanted so much more for me than I ever even comprehended for myself. So what ended up happening is that I got really, really in tune with the sacred yes and the sacred no. And whatever was coming for me, I told my inner guidance, I said, whatever you place in front of me that resonates energetically as to what I'm supposed to do, I will follow it. I will be unstoppable, and I will follow every single thing that you give me without question. And what ended up happening is that I had all these opportunities and people and then communities and this and that and circles of all these different things that were just coming forward for me too. But it was being open to receiving all those things, because I feel like in the past I was receiving impaired. I had so many negative years of people not being nice to me, not being kind to me, bullying me, whatever it was in the past, that now in this space and in this season, I'm literally, it's like, I feel like in all of the spaces that I'm in, I feel like I am well known and regarded and beloved because of the fact that I'm in integrity and my reputation is stellar. That's the most important thing, in the sense of where I mean what I say and I say what I mean. I don't give anything lightheartedly. I don't give my word to somebody unless I absolutely positively am clear that I'm going to be following through. So that's something in the sense of where it's like making the word that you speak, making it sacred. It has to be that your word is your bond. Because I think a lot of people have become, in a world of social media where you can block people, delete people, you can just, decide that you don't want to hear them anymore, you just mute them, whatever, etc. It's something of where, be mindful of the things that are coming into your space, be mindful of the things that you're attracting, be mindful of the people that you want to surround yourself with, because ultimately those are going to be affecting you quite deeply. But if you're not having to constantly second guess that. I mean, when I work with one-on-one clients with quantum healing and executive coaching, I'll have clients who tell me like, oh, I had a gut feeling I was supposed to do this, but I did the opposite. Or I felt like I was supposed to do this and I didn't do that. If you're getting divine guidance and you're not following through with it, you're going to have that contract. They're not going to be giving you more and more and more. But if you expand into it and you continuously say yes to it, you have that sacred yes. Whereas for me, like if I tune in, my sacred yes is in my heart. If I say yes, it's like it's right here. If I say no, it's in my stomach. No is very, very clear on that too. Being clear is one of those things too. But when you give your word, it doesn't matter whether it's convenient for you or not, or if you're tired or you don't feel like it or any of that other kind of stuff, etc. The universe doesn't care whether or not you're tired. If it's giving you something that's a gift, you need to receive it, and then you need to follow through with whatever direction that you're given. So again, it's that surrender and submission that a lot of people I don't think are they're not really cool with that, because we want to believe that this is free will and that we're just literally choosing all these different things out there too. But what if you had this benevolent universe that literally all of your dreams and desires, I think, come from source energy? They propel you, your drives, your things that you want to be able to do. I want to reach millions of people because it's my mission and my purpose to be able to talk about the kindness revolution and to be able to be a presence healer and to be able to inspire other people to be able to be the best versions of themselves, if at all possible. And so therefore it means that I've had to follow all of these things. And it's like, yeah, in December, I was tired. I finally during the holidays, I gave myself a time to be able to really sleep and really, really to be able to rest, because this year is going to be even better than last year.
Yeah. Absolutely. So do you think though, Barbie, a lot of people, when it comes to surrendering, they're scared to surrender? There's some fear that's holding them back, the fear of the unknown. Because you and I both know, right? When we surrender, we are really surrendering into some unknown innovation or creation or whatever the universe is bringing to us is coming to us. But because we have learned to deal with that fear, we just surrender and allow anything just to manifest the way it should be happening, right? So do you think fear is blocking people?
I definitely do. And the other part too is, since we're talking about the 5 people that we surround ourselves that are the most important as well, a lot of people feel like what I'm doing, they can't really relate to it. It's like it's so beyond kind of like what I was doing 3 years ago, that it's kind of like, what do you mean you were on USA Today? And what do you mean you were on Forbes? And you were just in Goss, or you're on the cover of this magazine? That's just like, it's not relatable to everybody. But ultimately it's like, if you are co-creating with the universe, that's all that matters. It's really, really an important thing in the sense of where, yeah, you might have that fear, but a lot of times the fear comes with sharing things that other people don't deserve to hear. They don't need to hear about your goal or your dream or your desire, because to some other people, allowing other people to give you what they call the peanut gallery. It's like giving people the opportunity to be able to weigh in on what you are manifesting, etc. I don't allow any dream poppers to come in until it's done. I don't show people that, oh, I'm in USA Today until it's in the edition and I can actually show them that it's on USA Today. I don't share things like that to other than the people that really, really are excited for me, and they're sharing with that as well. Because I'm a galactic cheerleader. As you know, I love to edify people. I love to support people. I love to cheerlead and just say, oh my God, good job. I don't have a competitive nature. I don't feel like, I believe that there's, like you have a shirt on. I believe in an abundance mindset where there's more than enough for everybody. And we know that even during times of economic downturns, multimillionaires have been made in all of those spaces as well too. It's like that. It doesn't necessarily have to be that because you're listening to that doom and gloom. But one of the number one things that I had to do specifically during the pandemic was that I used to have all those notifications on my phone or my devices that would tell me about the news things that were happening. And it was always in America, it was always about, that one guy everybody was obsessed with for, forever. And then it was about this and that. And it was just every hour was just like doom and gloom. And then how many people had coronavirus, and it was this and that, whatever, et cetera. My number one thing was that I had to turn off all of those notifications, that I'm not exposing myself to a lot of that stuff. And to some people, again, that's like avoidance of reality. But we know that news media outlets are there to sell their ratings so that they can get the advertisement. So the more things that they can freak you out about, like, scare you or make you feel a certain type of a way, the more you continue buying into all their kind of stuff too. So I feel like a lot of what you're talking about, there's that internal fear that people have to be able to surrender, to do something different. But then there's also that fear that's also empathically also around in our consciousness of where there's all sorts of different people. And I know at the beginning of the pandemic, I definitely had a lot of fear. I mean, I definitely was very scared. And I live in Anaheim, which is close to Disneyland, or it's where Disneyland is. And when everything shut down, Disneyland, Angel Stadium, Honda Center, these, epic world-class, convention center, these world-class places where people come from all over the world to come to all these venues, it was like a ghost town. But what ended up happening is that a lot of scary people were kind of like, scoping out, seeing what they could do and how much they could get away with. And so I know for myself, I decided, okay, I'm going to take that fear and I'm going to channel it into something proactive. So what I did is I created a neighborhood watch for my entire building of like over 400 units. And we created one that we actually got involved with the entire, the city government, the law enforcement. We had 40 different people that were in the building, et cetera. Nobody knew who we were or what we were doing, but it was still in the sense of where we didn't have any problems after that, because everybody that was around that meant harm, the word got out. No, these people are paying attention and you don't want to mess with that building. Yeah. So it really was something that became a huge thing. So I think that the fear part of it is that, they call it false evidence appearing real. It's like at the time of the pandemic, we didn't know if the world was going to explode. We just didn't know if like the world was going to end the way that we knew it. So because of that, and I mean, for you almost died. I mean, it was that grave for you. And I remember the most harrowing part of your story was the fact that, you had that person in your room that literally expired, next to you. It was just like, just crazy stuff that was happening that you can't even imagine. But it was like, one of my favorite people on Mindvalley, who I was so appreciative that I was, in correspondence with for almost 8 months, is Naveen Jain. And he always talks about the whole thing about the $1 billion problem has a $1 billion solution. And he asks, like in the power of boldness, it's like, how many people are there who are just tiptoeing through life waiting to die? They're just literally, they don't even feel like their things are meaningful. But it's the sense of where, if we didn't know whether or not we were going to live or not, he always asks, like, what are you willing to die for? And during a pandemic situation, it was truly what we were willing to die for, because I have an autoimmune disease. So for me, I'm one of those people that's, had to be oftentimes indoors. So this virtual space for me was a godsend, because I literally immersed myself in it and just literally just, everything. I mean, Vishen at the time was just adding quest after quest after quest after quest. And so I was just taking, I took 60 quests, and I haven't really been caught up with a lot of them because I've been so busy, but it's like, when he offered premium coaching in August of 2020, it was like, yep, joining. I was the first person on the call with David. I was the first person. He said, wow, you just set the bar really high. But we had, access to him for 30 of us. We had access to him, an hour a month, of a great hour to 2 hours every month, where he was just figuring it out himself. He didn't have an agenda. He didn't have a script. He didn't have anything. It wasn't like Mindvalley Pro is now, where it's thousands of people and it's more impersonal. Yeah. It was very personal. He knew each one of us by name. It was this whole thing of where we were all just kind of like growing in that space. And so it's like I think the fear kicks in. But by the same token, if your life sucks and it's not working the way that you want to, aren't you afraid that it's going to continue to suck? Like, to me, that was my big thing, in the sense where I'm like, I can't live like this any longer. And so, my chronic illness is still, it's probably about 80% in remission, but it's still, not completely. I know eventually I'm hoping that, that it will find a way to be able to do that. But it's still, you can't let your fear be the determining factor as to whether or not you live a life out loud or you live quietly, etc. And so that's the part to me, in the sense of where, I just did an interview with someone that I met who's a friend that's, he's an actor and model and a stuntman for Wakanda Forever and Black Panther and Spider-Man. And he's an actor, a model, a stuntman, a director, a tech guy. I mean, he's absolutely amazing. But his whole philosophy is that life is a playground and you need to be able to play responsibly, but you may need to make the choices as to who you want to be around. And so he was telling me in Hollywood that a lot of the jobs that he got was just based on his reputation and his integrity, and that people really liked working with him because he's a very, collegial person, of where, he can create a network of people where people want you together on their team. And that's the most important part as well, too, is that I don't have Instagram still. I didn't have a website until last year. I didn't even start with Facebook until a couple of years ago. I did all of this stuff literally through my reputation, of where I became a word of mouth person, of where I was doing, sessions with people globally in Saudi Arabia and in Australia and in Africa, all over the place, because of the fact that people knew that what my medicine that was bringing was very, very unique, and they wanted an opportunity to be able to upgrade their lives. And so, I have people now that have their dream jobs, their dream houses. I have people that have actually given birth to babies that, were infertile. I've had people that have gone into remission from illnesses and things like that. So it's me allowing whatever's supposed to come through me, for me to be a channel, to be a servant leader, be able to assist other people. And then from being of service, it's like, then it has this opportunity. And now all these beautiful opportunities are coming back my way. So again, even being like a plus size model, in my 50s, it's like, I was doing that as a runway model in my 20s, but it didn't end up working out. The person who wanted to sponsor me for a catalog ended up going bankrupt, and it just wasn't meant to be. So I just kind of like let it go.
So Barbie, a lot of what you've been talking about is all around how you manifested things, right? And I know for a fact, and for a fact as well, there's a lot of people out there that think very small, and they think from a mindset of scarcity. They always, and that's why we have the majority of the population in this world that's afraid to go further in life. Now, how important would it be to have this mindset of abundance? Because I guess once we start teaching people that there is plenty out there for every single one of us, then we could start doing proper transformation and helping people to think bigger, grow bigger, and live the lives that they really need to live. How important would that be for us?
A lot, because another Mindvalley instructor as well that was instrumental in my growth as well was Ken Honda with the Zen Millionaire. And he talks about the happy money. And so I think it's still in the sense of where, even though it might sound funny, it's still the idea that you bless your every bill that I pay, I send a blessing through it. I say thank you to whatever the providers are. So with my internet provider, my water company, electricity, whatever, I thank all of those people. That was pretty much a lot of what I was talking about when I was on the Best You Expos, was about extreme gratitude. Thanking my shower for the fact that water comes out of it, thanking the water company, thanking, my pipes, thanking my stove, thanking my refrigerator for keeping my food cool. It's like doing things in the sense of where we don't really think of inanimate objects as the things that support us, but there really are so many things of that, in the sense of where, so from there, like in the United States, the Native Americans talk about the fact that it takes almost 300 hands to be able to bring the food to your table. So it's all the people that grew it, all the people that, they harvested it, all the people that then, trucked it to the store, and then the people that packaged it and bought, they put it on the shelves for you too. So it's 300 hands that literally, so I always try to bless backwards all the people that are helping with that. And anytime I put something in the oven, it's like, I say blessing and thank you for the fact that I have this, beautiful food that, has been provided for me that I'm able to have. And so I think when you start kind of small from those places of where you think that, I even bless my car. I put my hand on my steering wheel and I just send blessings to my car. And I just thank my car for giving me the opportunity to have the freedom and the liberation to go wherever I choose to go. And I've just purchased a fully electric car this year. So it's something of where it's like, I thank the electric, company for having, have these like chargers that I can have too. So I think when you start small from there, during the pandemic, my extreme gratitude talks, that was the feedback that I really got from people. They said it almost like saved their lives, because when you can start to say, thank you for the fact that I'm safe. Thank you for the fact that I'm warm. Thank you for the blanket that's on me. Thank you for my clothes. Thank you for the roof over my head. Thank you for this. Thank you for that. It's just like when you start stacking all those things, it's almost like gratitude stacking, then you literally see that you've got all these things that are there. I don't know anybody at the water company personally, but I know that they're keeping my water clean and they're pulling it through my pipes. I don't know my internet provider personally, but I appreciate them for that too. So it's like blessing all these unknown faces that you're never going to meet, but they're all doing it for the same reason, that they're doing it for love of their families or for whatever things that they're trying to provide. So that's, I think, one thing of like just starting small from that perspective, because we can always focus on the things that we don't have. We can always focus on the lack. We can always focus on those things. But when you start to focus on all these little things that I do have, et cetera, like when gasoline got really expensive, when I had a gasoline car, it was like for Mother's Day, that was when gas prices went crazy. And I'm in California, it has the highest gas prices in the United States of America. So, everybody it was like $6 and $7. It was like, it was completely crazy. But instead, it's like, I chose to look at it from the perspective of, thank you that I can afford this gasoline to go into my car. And thank you for my car that I have that's going to drive me to a beautiful brunch to take my mother out for Mother's Day. Thank you for the fact that I have the freedom to go wherever I want, et cetera, et cetera. It's like, it's reshifting that into a space of where you're not looking at it from the same thing. The circumstances don't change. The gasoline costs the same amount of money, whether or not I bitch and complain about it or whether or not I'm grateful that I can pay for it. It does not change. So from that perspective too, I would walk into, we have a store called Trader Joe's, which I love in the United States. And it's like this kind of cute, like they have Whole Foods, which is like a lot. That one isn't as much of my fan because I feel like it's exorbitantly expensive. But for the same thing, you've got Trader Joe's, which has kind of this like cool vibe. And they have all those delicious foods from all over the world that are nutritious, et cetera. But when I walk into the grocery store, I just think to myself, oh my God, I'm so abundant. I can afford anything that I want in this store. And then what I find is by stating that out loud, I'm looking at it from the perspective of like, I can have anything that I want, whether I can or cannot, doesn't matter. It doesn't matter whether my bank account reflects that or not. But what I find is I end up buying less because I don't feel like I need to have all of this stuff to be able to keep it close to me. It's like, there's a freedom, there's a liberation. And I know Ken Honda talks about that water can be like ice, or no, money can be like ice. It can be like water. It can be like steam. It can be like whatever. It's all in that same kind of form. It's still all water, but it's also like your mindset and how you look at it. So when I would oftentimes, with my credit card, I would tell people at the grocery store or at a place where I was buying something, I would say, I gratefully pay this to you out of my abundance and thank you for the service. I would have people bow to me. They would curtsy. They would just do, because they felt really honored from that space, but it's still engaging with your environment, with everything that's around you is also really important. And I know a lot of people are oftentimes, they'll ask me intentionally, they're like, because I always talk to the busboys, I talk to the waiters, the waitresses, I talk to people that are serving me, et cetera. But what I find is that because I ask them like, hey, how's your day going? Or how's your night going? Whatever. And they're just very like taken aback, like, wait, I'm supposed to be serving you, but I'm not any better or any worse than anybody else. I'm just me going around trying to just like, shine my light as brightly as possible. But what I find is that I get the most incredible service from waiters and waitresses because they feel an engagement with me. It's almost like a dance. I make sure I tip very well. I give I always give a 20% gratuity to honor them as well. But it's still from that perspective of where if you're engaging with all the people that are in your life, then you're having this abundance mindset because everything is coming back to you in a beautiful way.
Wow. And it's so true, right? It's just by doing that, you actually helping somebody else to realize that there really are good people out there as well. And, to the audience listening, you can clearly hear what a good humanitarian Barbie really is. How many of you out there, when you go to a grocery store, would greet the person serving you kindly? You wouldn't, right? Most of the time, you just want to leave your goods over there and just pay for it and leave without engaging in conversation. Connecting with other people is so important because you never know who's on the receiving end of that greeting or that compliment, etc. as well. So, I like the way you go about doing your day-to-day running about Barbie as well, because you speak a lot about communities as well. And I'm sure at some point they had some influence on you, on your growth, right? On you moving higher every single day. How did this come about? Well, were you always like a people's person, or did you grow into becoming more of a people's person?
Well, the interesting part is the fact that, a lot of my life has actually been very tragic because I've always had this beautiful giving heart that I wanted to give to people, but a lot of people didn't want to receive it. So, a lot of times it's like I was smarter than people. I outperformed them in different things too. And I never was intentionally doing that kind of stuff. I was always just trying to be the best version of myself. But I think that, I grew up going to church, which, I've become much more just like universal source energy, in the last couple of decades. I don't really look at any kind of specific religion or dogma as being like better or worse than anything. But in that time, I loved doing the volunteer work. We would go down to Tijuana to do like a charity called Los Niños, so where we would bring food to people who didn't have any food. We'd bring the USC dental cart with like people who were becoming dentists, that they would do free dental work on children. We would rescue people out of jail that had been put in there that weren't able to make a phone call. There were a lot of different things of where I really kind of even though I don't really know anybody else in my family who is really like this, but it's just something of where I always just wanted to serve other people. It was just something that was really important to me to be able to help, because it always made me feel so good. It always made me feel so amazing to see these little children that would, be so grateful for the fact that, they were going to be able to eat for the next, week or two, et cetera. I mean, obviously it would be beautiful to feed them forever, but it's still in that moment we had, what they needed. And then same thing with, in high school, it's like I did a blood drive where the American Red Cross was really desperate for blood. And I ended up getting, I don't know, like hundreds of people to sign up. And I was really, really like tenacious about it. It's like, oh no, you need to get blood. You need to get blood. So I won an award for the counties of like, the biggest blood drive for one particular person. And then I also sold, chocolate bars for different, like, sports teams and things like that too. And I sold more cases of those too, because I was just really good with people where I would let them pay me, like, oh, I don't have $1 right now. Can I pay you tomorrow? Yeah, sure. So I would just, take a little tally, and then I would just go collect my money. And then I would just be getting one box after another. And they're like, how are you doing this? And I'm just like, I don't know. It's just people want to buy from me. So it's always, I think, kind of the entrepreneurial spirit I had, even though I always wanted to get paid, for my time for money. I didn't really kind of understand that. So I ended up in a traditional job that did that. But it's still from there, being at University of Santa Monica, doing that prison project, that was really meaningful, because those women, we shifted their opinion in the sense of where, yes, you're serving a life sentence, which means you're never going to get out of jail for the things that you did. However, it is also that you can choose your mindset there too. You can be a divine being having a prison experience, or you can basically just stay angry about the fact that, and violent and whatever else you want to continue doing. So it changed things to the point of where they actually had an honor dorm where there were no fights or no drugs. There was nothing. It was like this, literally like where they were creating this kind of, the best that they could in the circumstances that they had. So from there, watching people do that kind of stuff. And then I've worked with Holocaust survivors for over 20 years through a university program, but I saw the fact that they were some of the most happy people I've ever met in my life. Like literally everything had been taken from them, and then yet they were thriving here in the United States, and they were part of the largest organization of survivors. So, and when you see someone who literally has a tattoo on their arm with the numbers and things like that, it's like, there's just no denying that. So I worked with a youth organization that had children that came to be able to, meet up with them and just, be a witness to their experiences. And then also working with, Vietnamese and Cambodian refugees too. That's not the work that I do now, because now I'm basically, I've been a trainer of trainers, and now doing the quantum healing and the executive coaching with a lot of like high profile people. I feel like if I can work with a CEO that has 10 to 15,000 people underneath them, or 100,000 people, by shifting their mindset and their attitude about it, it trickles down into the organization. So me doing one session or one package with them literally allows it to the point of where it's like the whole entire organization can be revamped. And even, I'm talking with some royal houses also in the Middle East with some friends of mine too. And to be able to have the opportunity to have that kind of a reach too, all of their subjects will also have that ability for whatever shifts in them to be able to go back into that mindset. So it's truly, that was something that to me, the Mindvalley community was so beautiful in the sense of where, in February of 2020, on February 28th, 29th, and March 1st, I got to meet Lisa Nichols in person and hung out with Vishen on Saturday night at the party that they had in Los Angeles. And I got to meet Keith, who's super down to earth, and he's become a friend since I was in the, the Tony Hsieh Award. It's like, I got to hang out with them personally in Las Vegas in 2020, 21. So it's like, there's been a lot of things and then also with Christina Lakhiani, and like I've interviewed her twice and she's delightful. And the fact that I got to meet all these people in person before we went on to the Zoom and all the virtual stuff, et cetera, et cetera. I don't know if you remember, but originally Vishen was on Facebook and he was doing all the things. And it was right before Buddha and the Badass came out. But then he migrated over to, opened up Telegram. And then from there, it moved over into, the Zoom calls that we were doing too. And like that Mindvalley University in August was absolutely epic in 2020, because that was when I got to meet Naveen and he gave out his, personal email. And I'm the kind of person of where, when someone does it, it's like, there you go. Hi, I loved your talk. I didn't want anything from him. I still don't want anything from him. And it's the most important thing too, I think, is that in these communities, you're not coming in as a savior, you're coming in as a servant leader, and ultimately having respect for whatever their differences or their issues are. You're not there to solve it. You're not there to judge it. You're there. I mean, to me, I'm just there to bring the light. I'm just there to bring the light and to be able to share whatever gifts that I have to be able to share with people. And, from there, it's like we have this beautiful premium coaching group that happened. And then from there also, it's like with insights and all these different things too. It's like we had all these opportunities to be able to expand into these truly mind-bending different spaces, because Silver Ultramind is not going to be for every person. Christy Marie Sheldon and Marie Diamond and, Marissa Peer and Ken Honda and Naveen Jain. A lot of the things that we learn in Mindvalley are very cutting edge, and they're things that are kind of like biohacking and the Monroe Institute, et cetera. And I'm grateful to call Alan and Luigi friends as well. I mean, I know that I did the spoon bending with them the first time. It was just crazy to watch that kind of thing. And so I sent Alan one of mine that like triple twisted. It was like really crazy and really fun. But, stepping into that space of where it's like, when we have communities that rally around us, I feel like I finally in the last 3 years have had a place of where my love has been received the way that I wanted it to go out. And all the times when I've been misunderstood or treated badly in the past, it's like, I don't focus on that any longer. I'm not really, like, to me, in a sense, I almost look at it as a blessing, because they showed me that by how completely different I am from almost anybody. I don't know anybody like me. I've never met anyone else who is like me. Nobody. And people tell me that too. They're like, you're not just 1 in a million, you're like 1 in 5 million. But as a result, being a unicorn is not easy sometimes, because you don't have people that are all really able to understand you. But that is now my superpower. My being that unicorn is like for me to be able to inspire other people and to tell them that, yes, people in Mindvalley, they say, oh, bend it like Barbie, because I literally feel like I have been bending reality for the last 3 years for real. And it's not, I've been told by people that, the amount of success that I've had, people have done decades of it in the sense of work, but it's that mixture of the surrender, the submission, but then also fully going forward with everything that you have then. Once you've committed to it, you need to literally not be bracing for impact. You're not resisting it. And you're literally putting your foot on the gas pedal rather than putting your foot on the brakes. Because that's one of the biggest things. The people that I've seen in the last 3 years that have given up on their dreams, there's a fear of where oftentimes people are also afraid of success. And they're afraid of what people are going to think about them and how it's going to impact them and things like that too. So again, you just attract other people at the higher frequencies who are resonating and succeeding like you are as well, and continue to go. And I use the analogy of being on the Autobahn. And when you're on the Autobahn, which I love to drive on, I've done it in Germany and Italy, it's like so much fun because there's no speed limit. And if you have a great car, you just put your, if you know that what it can handle, you just put your foot to the pedal as to how fast you want to go, and you gauge it from that perspective. But it's exhilarating. It's so powerful because you're in that 0-point gravity of where you are not resisting anything. Because if you manifested it and you called it forward and then you put the brakes on it, no, can't do that.
Absolutely. No, you're right. And, there's so many valid points you mentioned in there, Barbie, as well. I like the fact that, what you're actually doing is whatever you've been learning in the past 3 years, you're never afraid to share. And I know that you're always willing to help other people like myself as well, right? And you're always willing to share this, whatever you learn. What I like about it is starting from a CEO level, the moment you pass on those knowledge to them, and this has this ripple effect to their employees, 15,000, 20,000, whatever the amount is, you're creating this massive community and they are unaware that you started this whole movement, right? But this movement is happening, and this movement is still going on. So you're impacting lives with all of this energy that you're passing on there as well. And you may not see it, right? But there's so many people I know that follow you so closely as well, and really learning from you. So hats off to that, and well done on that. That's what you want to see in a person. You want to resonate with their authenticity. And you are that type of person. You are unique. And absolutely, when people say you're 1 in 5 million, you're a very unique person, a very unique soul. And I love what you bring to this world. I would love to have more Barbies in this world, because you know the point this world is in at the moment. It needs a lot of healing. It needs a lot of work. And we can only do this by creating more of us and helping people out there as well. So thank you so much for sharing that, Barbie. Tell us about the projects you're working on for 2023. I know it's still the 5th of January. We got a long way to go, but what are some of these interesting projects that you have on the cards for this year?
So one thing that's going to be coming out is something that I beta tested with the Mindvalley group, and I had was a 6 to 8 week class of signs and synchronicities. So I consider this to be my life's work, and I've recorded it now, and it's going to be going into a funnel, and this will be available for sale this year. But it's called the Science of Signs, and it's something in the sense of where the divine is always speaking to you, and a lot of times people don't really necessarily know what those things are meaning when you have recurring numbers, or you have certain dreams that recur, or you have different kind of like symbols and signs that kind of show up for you. But in 2012, I got this download about how to start looking at different things. And I was with my family on my way to Key West in Florida, and we were on a car trip, and I saw the 111 and like 1111 like maybe 15 or 20 times. And so I got out a piece of paper. I'm like, I think I need to track this, because this is kind of weird. And then in addition to the ones that I already missed, I think I saw 111 or 1111 or even 11111 like over 100 times in one car ride. It was insane. It was just like, okay, obviously I'm being communicated with. I have no idea what this is about, but please tell me more. So what I did is I carried around one of those little like newspaper reporter journal things where they flip it open and they just like writing notes on it too. Every trip, every place that I would go, I would literally be looking for signs, or I would just be asking how am I being communicated with? And it's a personal lexicon. It's not necessarily just like angel numbers or dream dictionaries or things like that, where it's like a generic thing of like, oh, this means this or that means that. And what I found was that the fact that it almost became like Technicolor, of where you have the opportunity where the whole world just kind of opens up for you in the way of where you're paying attention to them. And some people don't want to pay attention to them. They're just like, what does that really mean? But what I found was that by actually tracking them and then being able to say a blessing within my mind to the universe of thank you for sending me this sign, to acknowledge that I received it and that I understood that it was directly for me, I started getting more. And so it would be like, if I have I call my moonshot list of songs, like a la Naveen Jain. And so when I know that like something really good is going to be happening, I will hear a song specifically that will come on the radio, or it'll be on something where I'll hear it, and it'll be like the Field of Dreams theme song, or it'll be something that's a specific. I love, there's a song called Night from 𝒂𝒶𝓀𝒃𝑒 𝐿𝒶𝓉, which is like one of my favorite like classical songs, but it just has this power to it, and it has double crescendos. And when I hear it, my whole body just lights up with this vibration. And so I was able to then train other people as to how to relate to their own signs and synchronicities too, where now they can read it and they can see. So when you're in the line for a job and you really need the job, you might see a license plate that says, WIN, W-I-N, or it might even be W-Y-N, or it might be something like this. But when I was working in a traditional job and going to a brick and mortar place, I would find that a lot of times my 20 to 30 minute commute, I would see a sticker, a billboard, a jacket, a sign, something else together. But what I would do is I would dictate them as they would go along. And then at the end of the day, I would literally read what they were. And they would actually spell out full-blown, grammatically correct English sentences, some of them 6 to 8 in a row, like literally where it's not possible to even, that there's no coincidence about any of that. And so what I found was that then you needed also track as to whether or not Are you in a positive space when this happens? Or are you in a negative space when this happens? Because equally where we have lucky numbers, but then there are other signs and symbols that can be also negative ones. So I have certain things where if I see something specific, if it's inside my home or it's outside my home, I know that it's basically something that is like external and it's not that big of a deal. But if it's inside my home, I need to really, really pay attention because there's danger afoot. So it becomes something of where it literally started to veer my life and showing me different things as to what to do. I mean, it was literally like I was getting directions from source energy. So my course is about being able to kind of step into that quantum field, the quantum entanglement, the quantum field of entrainment, et cetera, et cetera. You know, we have all these mirror neurons, and what you find is that, again, it's why you have to be so specific with, you know, the 5 people or the people that you surround yourself with, because, you know, what happens is that you oftentimes, if you use a word that you haven't used very often, I had this with a friend yesterday of where, you know, I said the word judicious a couple of times on Monday when we talked. And then when I talked to him yesterday, he reflected back, oh, I want to be more judicious. So what happens is that our mirror neurons, we start to speak in that same language as the other people that we're surrounding ourselves around too. And a lot of times we're not intentionally mirroring them, but it's just the way that our brain does with the reticular activating system, where we start doing that kind of stuff. So being able to actually have a course now where I can train people on how to be able to listen to the directives of the divine, track it in a journal, and then be able to see from that time, you can go over through weeks, you can go through months, you can go through years, et cetera, and then see that a lot of those things have actually come true. So that to me is something where I don't know anybody that's teaching that, but that was literally what I would consider a divine download for me. So I'm really, really excited for that to come out for the public, because then that way, then if they can't afford a one-on-one session with me or packages, then it's a way where I can have a course where they can watch the videos on that. And then eventually I'd like to do where I do a course that's like, you know, 8 weeks of it where they watch the videos, and then I have a live Q&A where I can help them track it and see, you know, exactly like what the patterns are that they have, because so many things in nature are patterns. It's just like we have negative relationship patterns, we have positive relationship patterns, we have, you know, there's so many things that are patterns. But once you figure out like the Fibonacci curve, or you figure out, you know, the other stuff like to the golden ratio of beauty and things like that, once you figured out the formula on those different things, you almost are kind of like you already win by default, because the fact you already kind of like you can figure it out and you can see it, like in the Matrix when everything turned into those green grids. It's like once you could see it, it wasn't controlling you any longer. You're literally co-creating with the divine at all times. But a lot of people don't want to pay attention. They just, you know, we're on devices. We've got AirPods in. We got a hat on and glasses. You know, before it was masks on too. It's like a lot of people, they're just very contracted. And when you're looking for signs and synchronicities, you allow yourself to be expanded so that you can allow all this beautiful stuff to come to you.
Yeah. A lot of people are blocked out. A lot of people don't understand how it actually works. So I'm glad that you're coming up with this course, because it really will help a lot of people out there as well, myself included, you know, to learn more about it as well. Because everything has some science in it, right? There has to be some science. It's how the universe actually works. It's how the law of the universe works. So, and people always believe that, you know, for all these bad times they're going through, it'll always be bad. Yes, it'll always be bad if they carry on believing it'll be bad. But if they just change their thinking process and realize that, no, for every bad, there must be some good that comes out from it, then they see life in a different way as well. Life is never meant to be perfect. We know that. That's ups and downs. But the key is, with those struggles that we go through, we need to look at it and take the lesson out from it and see how we can grow through that, not just go through those pains and struggles as well. Thank you so much, Barbie. That was really great. And I really look forward to, it's called Science on Science, right? You said, or?
The Science of Signs, and it'll probably be available in the next couple of months. Right now I have someone that's creating a funnel around it. And then eventually, I mean, it's right now, it's, you know, was not, I did it just, you know, with StreamYard myself, but eventually I would like to, since I'm talking to some producers and directors of, you know, some documentaries I'm a part of too, I'm excited about the opportunity to be able to make that, you know, in a professional studio and be able to re-record it. And to be honest with you, I'm just going to put this out here because, you know, bidding it out too. And I need to go a minute, but I would love for that to be a quest on Mindvalley. I think that would be so in line with everything that Mindvalley has to do, of where it's like teaching people to literally like, you know, connect on that level of where they really can feel empowered from themselves, in the sense of where, because then whatever you call it, doesn't matter what you call it, God, and it's a religion or a theology, whatever it is, when you feel that you're being communicated with in that way, it's the most beautiful feeling of where you feel like you're connected. There's this connection with the divine. There's a connection with the universe that I can't even describe, but it feels like you're plugged in. And once you're plugged in, everything becomes electric, and then you have the opportunity for all these beautiful things to manifest in your life. And I can't wait, honestly, once it's done or once it's out there and people have taken it. I cannot wait to hear the testimonials of people and the things that they manifest. Like that's the part for me. I'm just like, oh, I can't wait to hear oh, I manifested this, and oh, thank you so much. Now because of this, now I can figure this out. And now, oh, I was guided to this, and I was guided to that, and I was guided to that. And it's like, I really believe that the universe is speaking to us all the time, but we just need to figure out how to tune our frequency of the dial of where we can listen to it and understand what it's saying.
Absolutely. Wow. I'm looking forward to it as well. So thank you so much, Barbie, for coming on our show today. We really appreciate it. I'm really grateful for your time. I know you're a very busy person and you need to leave in about 2 minutes as well. So thanks once again to everyone listening. This is going to be on YouTube. This is going to be on audio version. You can find it on Apple Podcast. You'll find it on Google as well, Spotify, wherever as well. Make the time to listen to it. If you have any questions or comments, please put it in the comment section at the bottom, and I'm sure Barbie will answer them for you as well. So thank you so much for listening. And also on our YouTube channel, there's an alarm bell on the right-hand side. So please do subscribe to our channel so that whenever we release new podcasts, you are aware of it as well. So thank you once again for listening to Inspirational Journeys Through Life with Straight Talk with Nolan. My name is 𝒂𝒶𝓀𝒻. Barbie, any last words for our audience before you go?
Just the fact that if anyone wants to connect with me, they can go to my website at 𝒂𝒶𝓀𝒻 if they want to book a session or they want to look into some packages and things like that. I literally, it's like I love to play in the miracle manifestation field, and it's something that brings me a lot of joy. And thank you for the reflection back. And I've just enjoyed this journey of being friends for these 3 years too, and I just can't wait to see all the things that you manifest as well too, because you're such a good guy, you and your wife. It's like you're really one of those people out there too. We need more Nolans in the world too.
Thank you so much, Barbie. Really appreciate it. And I will be putting Barbie's contact details. I'll be typing it in the description as well of this podcast, so you can reach out to Barbie. So thank you once again, Barbie. You have an awesome evening. And thanks everyone for listening in as well. You take care, and we're going to chat soon as well.
All right. Bye.
Bye.